All right, welcome back. So it's been a while since I've done a live broadcast, and been a while since I've done an in the house video. So I thought I'd get you guys caught up. And the other thing I wanted to do was have a chat about Game On, which was just wrapped up this weekend in Seattle. So pretty much a good time. Let's talk about Game On first. It was interesting to see and hear everyone's comments about Game On and how much they enjoyed it. A lot of the first timers really had an amazing time. All the regulars had a great time, and I think overall everyone had a fantastic time. There's a great combination of folks there. War gamers, Euro gamers, and real friendly vibe. Everybody was generally speaking a fairly friendly person. You could stop and ask what they were playing and have a chat to them and whatnot. So that was very, very cool. Though obviously there was a big group of Advanced After Combat podcast fans. Dave Maupin led the charge there, and he turned up with 30 of his men, and they all had a pretty fun time too, I would think, based on what I saw and the stories I experienced. It was pretty cool. And I think they had a good time too. So it seems to me like small cons are probably a nice way to go, or a nicer way to go than some of these larger events, the BGG cons of the world, the Consim World events and things like that, because you get a lot more bang for your buck in terms of being able to connect with people. There's a very well organized schedule. They seem to have as good, if not better, amenities when it comes to beer, wine, food, all that sort of fun stuff. You can have that delivered right to your table, which was a highlight for, I think, everybody. So most folks there took advantage of the fact that we could get a beer and have it brought to your table, or have a sandwich brought to your table. They had lunch orders passed around so the kitchen could cater to folks and make sure they were happy. We had a few Epicurean individuals at the event. They gave me some running commentary as I asked and inquired about their food consumption. They enjoyed certain things much more than other things. That if you ever get out to Issaquah to Holiday Inn, you got to have one of the Philly cheesesteaks. They come highly recommended for one of the more well-known Advanced After Combat team members. Let's call him that. I had a Philly cheesesteak. I wasn't that impressed. It didn't have any cheese. Kind of weird. So there was that. Anyway, I played Third World War. I was a bit of a stick in the mud, and we just took a big game, set up all 4 modules. I had 4 guys on a rotation playing that. So we had 2 folks playing the Soviets, and then 1 gentleman had to leave. So Steve stayed the whole way through playing the Soviets, and Mike came and played the first day and a half, or night and day. And then on Friday morning, Vance Strickland turned up, and Vance played through. And we got all the way through the 4 modules, 7 full turns. Had an absolute blast. I really could have used the extra person, the 4th person. Unfortunately, we had a person cancel out, so that kind of screwed us a little bit. And by the time we got into things, it really wasn't appropriate to bring anybody else into the game at that point. But playing NATO by yourself it's fun, you know. It was just a epic little exercise in command challenges. Keeping track of your units, trying to make sure you move everything even in a turn, particularly as the fatigue starts to build up. We did, I think, let's see, we got in Wednesday afternoon. I think we set up pretty quickly Wednesday afternoon, and then played all of the 12 diplomacy turns before midnight on Wednesday night. Had a few beers, had some food, got cracking pretty early, 8:30 or 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. Played right through till 8 or 9 o'clock Thursday night. And then Friday and Saturday was probably the same, but we started a little bit later. We started at about 10, and then I think on Saturday we actually wrapped it up around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So pretty long period of time to be focused on one game. We did take opportunities to walk around and look at what everyone else was doing, so that was pretty cool. It was nice to see a massive variety of war games being played. You know, all sorts of CDGs, all sorts of hex and counter stuff, point to point, block games, you name it. All eras, all periods. Superb to see a lot of games getting out and being played. A lot of guys played hardcore, serious, large games during the day, and then in the evening switched up to lighter fare, which I thought was a great idea, and I think I might in fact do that next year myself, because that would be entertaining. I think I recall the first year I ever went to Game On in Seattle that the hosts Jeff, Pete, and Ralph got me into the Combat Commander tournament, and along with that I played 5 games of Combat Commander and then 8 or 9 other games. So I played, a swag of stuff. It was great. So knocked out 13 different games in total, sessions in total, and probably 9 different games in 3 days, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. It's pretty cool. Right, so that was good. That was good fun. When I got back, we've got some comments here. Hey guys, how's everybody doing today? Let's see who we got here. Tony, look at you. Devin, what's up, dog? And hey John, how you doing? I did leave one counter behind, but it was not an air unit. We found the air unit, thanks Devin, but I left a Turkish 015 behind, but he's making his way by US Postal Service to the house. So, I don't know how much I want to tell you about Third World War in terms of it being a game and all that, and the gameplay and all the rest of it. It was fun. In fact, I've got Southern Front and Third World War set up here from a pre-game that Steve, a friend of mine called David, and Michael and I all played. I'll show it to you right here. You can see the Soviet progress there is a little better than if you're watching some of the pictures on Facebook or wherever, Twitter and stuff, that the Soviets kind of stalled out in their main drive in our game that we were playing. This one here, the Soviets stalled out with a much higher casualty disruption rate, but they did make more progress, but actually in terms of points gained, probably not much more. So that is an interesting thing. I think I have a Soviet strategy now that I've seen 2 other people play it. I think I have a plan, and I'd like to try and play the Soviets maybe one more time. Maybe I'll do that on Vassal with somebody. So hopefully that'll happen in the next year or so. All right, so I did bring some games back because Dick Boyce sold off a bunch of games, and I happened to be right near the table. And because I'm a whore for games, I kind of went over there and rummaged through everything first. And Steve came over and he bought some games, and Mike bought some games. And so we were kind of right next to the table where the swap meet was. So it was really, really cool. We got to kind of have first dibs at some things. So I picked up something I've been looking for a long time. The Peloponnesian War. It's a solo game. Hey, look at me. See? I'm not just a cranky old man who will play hex and counter games. I will play a solo game. It's by Mark Herman. How bad can it be? It'll be fine, right? I think this will be cool. This will be a good representation of the theater. I have another hex and counter game that we can play as a counterpoint to this. So that'll be a nice side-by-side comparison that we'll get to do sometime in the distant future, we'll get to that guy. I haven't even begun to look at the rules. Let's see, I'll do that later. Frank Chadwick, I'm playing Frank Chadwick. You can't put this up in front of me and then say, don't buy it. Destruction of Army Group Center. This will be my second Destruction of Army Group Center title. So that will give me an opportunity to do another side-by-side, and this will happen sooner rather than later. I've already had a quick read of the rules on the plane. These boxes are beautiful, by the way. Dick, you did I don't know how you store or keep your games, whether you use gloves with them or whatever, but be mint condition. This has got box art by Roger McGowan as well. Look at that. That's just pretty awesome, huh? So this should be an interesting little game. It looks and feels like Europa in terms of counter style, map art and things like that. But the rules read like a classic Frank Chadwick game, very clean. So very excited about that one. Now I didn't necessarily buy this game at Game On, but I had arranged to do a pickup in Seattle. And that's the GMT Kevin Boylan game. That's the Invasion of Norway. I don't have a title on this, and I thought it would be very cool to just kind of rewind the clock on the chronological walkthrough of World War II. I'm just going to check here. We've got a couple of comments going in. Hey, Mike, how are you doing, man? I haven't told anybody I'm recording down here, so I'll probably get an interruption in a second. So I think that'll be a fascinating little exercise to go through. And then picked up this the other day. A friend of mine, Cisco, said that counters were too small to read, and I had told him how I had just purchased another Six Angles magazine game, and how I'd met Masahiro Yamazaki. And he said, oh, you need to have this. So he gave this to me. So I gotta play that too. That'll be a little rewind of the clock. That'll be fun. We'll go back in time and have a look at that. I've already had a look at the map, read the rules-ish. Did I read the rules for this one? Yes, I did. I think we can do this without hurting our heads too much. And then I have two other titles. Oh, I also picked up that Battles Magazine game, the Drop Zone, something or other it is. It came out not the first magazine, but it's kind of like an add-on game. I forget what it is, but I think it's called Drop Zone. I think I had it, never played it, sold it, got it back just because that's what you do. I have two other titles to look at, and I'm going to do shrink grips for these. So this is another Hollandspiel game. It's their 8th game that's out. I think it's their most current title. It's out. The Bloody Fog just came out. And this is designed by John Gorkowski. I believe he's the gentleman that did Breaking the Chains, which I was not a huge fan of. But I've read the rules to this one as well. Found this on the doorstep when I got home. It's only 7 or 8 pages of rules. Pretty straightforward. It's a hypothetical game. I'm not going to bust it out now. We don't need to really talk about it too much right now. But it's a hypothetical on Fuller's plan to persecute the end of World War I, assuming that the Germans didn't surrender. And they set the stage for the game. It has some air and armor and obviously infantry in it. All in a very neat, tidy 8 to 10 page rule book. So I'm very curious about this. No setup rules in it. Well, not, I shouldn't say that. You know what? I've only read the rules. I didn't read the setup instructions. But there were several posts about. There was a die. Several posts about the game. Talking about you just set your units up, so there's no guidelines for that. And given that it's a hypothetical game, okay, Oh, and we're having a dice execution too, just in case you're wondering. When I was playing with Dave and Steve and Mike here at my house, I found a die that needs to die. So we're going to do that. I can't get under the table to get that right now, so we're going to leave it. I've got Fields of Despair over here that a buddy that David left behind that I'm going to do a shrink rip on. He's going to let me do that with you, for you, or whatever. So that's nice. So we'll do that. I'll probably record that after I get done here doing this. It won't be live though. You don't need to see that live. So let's see. What else? I think that was it. I think that's all I really wanted to share with you. Let me just check in here. Hey, Tony, we are going to start Carthage soon, and my apologies. We need to organize a time to do that, and I will deal with you offline. We obviously don't want to try and do that while I'm going live, chit-chat and boring. I'm already boring enough without being even more boring trying to organize a date. So yes, we are going to play Carthage very soon now that I'm back in town, and will be for at least 2 weeks. So, all right, let's think. Quickly, what else? The next war, it's still there. Turn 4. We're gonna do some more air war, some more stuff. One of the guys I was corresponding with in regards to the rules for flak and how flak worked found an errata piece in Moves 41. Some guy, I'm gonna call him a joker because he just kind of changed the rule. I don't know whether he changed a rule because he didn't like it, or because it was play tested wrong, or something or other. I was a little concerned about that because we're going backwards and forwards about this flak rule, and I was saying it was one way based on how the rule's written, and then there's an example of play where the errata contradicts the rules. That's a problem. So this guy makes that correction, which then actually makes an adjustment to the flak rule, and next thing you know, now you have a definitive contradiction in the rule. So I would go by the rules, not by the example of play and the example of play errata. Just to double check, I checked with Mark Herman. He's like, dude, whatever, that is so not right. So I'm taking Mark Herman's word for it, regardless of how many people were on that massive team making that game happen. I'll flow with his brain work on that game from those decades ago versus Moves 41. Hey, I'd like to write an article and fix things, guy. Because interestingly enough, nearly everything else in the errata is actual errata in terms of corrections, amplifications to like errors. Whereas this is an actual rule change in an example that foobar's flak and totally changes the air war game, and it's very, very significant change. A minor wording change, but a significant gameplay change. Anyway, I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm tired. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna recover from game on. It was awesome. Jeff Newell, I don't know how you do it. I would not have the patience or the attention to detail to get that done. Oh, wait, that's right. You don't either. You have awesome guys that help you. Lucky you. Great job. Everybody else, was nice seeing you there, whoever was there. And Tony, I'll be in touch with you soon. And the rest of you guys I'll see you online real soon. Cheers.